Setsucon 2016, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Setsucon was an anime convention held on January 30th and 31st, 2016 at the Toff Trees Golf Resort and Conference Center in State College, Pennsylvania. The convention moved from the Penn Stater this year. They posted the reasons on their webpage, but what was odd was Setsucon kept the same dates, and the Central PA Bridal Expo was instead held on the 31st at the Penn Stater. There was an attendance cap of 700 people due to the size of the Toff Trees. Now, this took about half the attendance away they had last year. Let's see how they did. For the good, small but adequate panel rooms. I was part of a panel group that presented several panels, and I found the rooms were small enough that you could interact with your audience, but large enough to fit a decent amount of people in them. For the loss of attendance, the convention had a respectable dealer's room, artist alley, which was kind of merged into one in a bar gathering area at the hotel. They had a really nice mix of merchandise, and it was good, all things considered. The staff this year were pretty competent. It was one of their better years. Most of the staff members knew their jobs. The head of panels was pretty good. I talked to him more than once. And everything seemed to just kind of flow along rather well this year. The hotel convention space was pretty fair. If you looked up some of the reviews on the internet before coming here, you might have been a little bit worried. It is a golf resort, but everything was pretty good. The rooms were nice, and the convention space was all in a row, so you really could not get lost. What was bad? The schedule was announced the day before the convention. It is completely unacceptable to do that. How are you supposed to know what panels you want to attend? It gives very little notice, and honestly, it was very poorly done. That is a poor move to announce your schedule the day before the convention. It needed to be out a week before the convention. So unfortunately, that was just downright bad. For the ugly, what should have been better? Convention social media needs a major overhaul. Most conventions have a public group that is loosely associated with the convention. Setsucon's is actually run by ex-staff and current staff, but they were too busy to approve people. That needs to change. You need to get some people not associated with the convention in there to approve people, so people can actually talk about the convention. Pre-convention communication from Setsucon is usually not very good, and this year was not much different. I suspect a lot of this was due to the move, but this con really needs to start making posts throughout the year, start engaging people more, because usually after February, this con disappears until September. I ran into a problem with some of the panel's equipment. In panel 2, the room speakers, which was the hotels, were dying. One of our guys is a professional audio person, and he knows when stuff's starting to die, and they had some serious issues in there. That's the hotel's problem, but still, it doesn't look good. We grabbed our set of speakers and still held our panel. It wasn't an issue for us, but for others it could have been. Panel 3's projector, it sounded like a dying computer, and honestly, it had 80s TV lines going through it. The projector was not very good, and that's a piece of equipment they really need to replace. I would say 8am panels could be gotten rid of. Now, I helped run one 8am panel and attended another, and they were surprisingly well attended, all things considered. But still, it's quite painful for the panelists to wake up that early, and I wouldn't recommend repeating that next year. The lack of panels caused this convention some issues. There was a lot of downtime. Post 2 p.m., 2 of the panel rooms were merged into main events, and that left you with one panel room, your viewing rooms, your gaming, and your artist alley and dealer's room. But the problem was you only had one other panel room. For those panelists, it was great. You had a lot of people there, and a lot of the big main events draws drew a lot of people. They did well. But here's the problem. If main events was full, and you couldn't get in that panel, there simply wasn't a lot to do, and it got boring. At one point, I actually went back to my room and watched anime. I have not done that in years at a convention. Sunday had a similar situation, and honestly, for the lack of panel content, I probably could have left around noon to 2 p.m., but I had panels to run yet. And what I would have done, honestly, is I would have absolutely sacrificed a viewing room. Yes, they were smaller rooms, but I would have got rid of that viewing so fast and put a panel in there. It wouldn't have been funny, and that was really what they needed to do. I didn't enjoy the masquerade. I'm not going to criticize any individual. Frank was up there basically saving that event. Frank, the MC, the weight of that event was on him. What I think happened here was you saw a lack of entries due to the lowered attendance. And honestly, the masquerade in the past at Setsucon has been one of their stronger events. This year I can't say that. And again, Frank was trying to save it. He was working hard. What I would say, though, is the taiko drummers, we could have skipped their noise pollution. They were downright painful to listen to in that room with its acoustics. They didn't work, and I actually covered my ears when they played due to the closed environment. Overall, this convention was much better than expected. Most people wrote this convention off due to the move and due to the attendance cap. But the good news was the programming was relatively good, and the crowd was relatively good. Where I really had to knock them for was the serious downtime issues. They really, really needed 2 panel rooms no matter what. If they're going to use the TOF trees again, they have to have 2 panel rooms at all times. This was another missed year due to the venue change. Last year, Setsucon was the first one in a while that looked pretty good. Everything was relatively smooth. This one, all things considered, was smooth, and if they would have had the old venue at the Penn Stater, what could have been? I'm going to give the convention a C. Overall, what could have been, but it was still a relatively decent convention, and I congratulate the Setsucon staff for pulling it off with the hardships they've had to endure this year. And I'd also like to hashtag thanks Frank. Frank the MC. It's his last year as MC, and good luck, Frank. Thanks for watching.